Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Justin. I'm the founder at paidadvertising.com, an online marketing agency working primarily with e-commerce brands. And today I am joined with my good friend Jordan, who has been responsible for growing the e-com brand Gamenetics basically from $0 to $8.5 million in revenue. He more specifically helped their TikTok account also grow all the way to 500,000 followers. Him and his brother started the brand together, and now he's pivoted towards building his own agencies. So Jordan, welcome to the pod.
Thank you so much, Justin. I'm glad to be here and I'm excited to get into some questions.
Love it, man. I love it. Happy to have you. Now we've been working on some deals together. And I think last week, or was it last week or 2 weeks ago, you came back from the Triple Wall event. How was that?
Yeah, the event was really good. It's the first time going to an e-com focused event.
Nice.
It was kind of nice to be able to go to something where you knew there was going to be brands and people who are focused on e-commerce rather than like a 10x growth kind of event where it's kind of just everyone and anyone. There did end up being a little bit more like marketing agencies than brands, but did definitely met some good people at the event, and yeah, it was a good time. It was a good venue too.
Love it, love it. And there was like the Shopify, I think, dinner or like just a small event the night prior, right?
Yeah. I was invited out through a connection that I have to a Shopify event. It was actually just for brands, and so we had Shopify there. It was like a location here in New York City, and that was a good time too. The night before.
Awesome. I think today people will have a lot to learn from you from a brand owner perspective, but also now that you kind of like played on both ends, I think that makes you like an even better online marketer because you've seen both sides of the coin, and you're also the niche, right? In a sense, like you are the niche. And I would love to start by picking your brain about that TikTok story of yours, because from what I recall, you kind of saved the brand, honestly, by going to TikTok. Like the brand had its difficulties, and then going to TikTok was really what helped things pick back up.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's an interesting story. I'm obviously not going to go into all the details of the story, but when in 2015, my brothers and I, we sat down together and we were like thinking of an idea to start a business. And I was encouraging them. I was like, look, maybe we can start selling some products. And so that's what we did. We landed on, custom controllers for those who aren't familiar with Gamenetics. And so we customized like Xbox and PlayStation controllers. And, for years, we kind of started selling on eBay, Etsy, and Amazon. But after a time, we created some good success there. We came to a point where Amazon was starting to really crack down on things. And even with, thousands and thousands of 4.5-star reviews on Amazon, they would just take down our listings when they felt like it, and it was very hard to battle that. And so I foresaw this happening, and I was like, we need to build our own platform. Like we need to have our own website. We need to have our own brand, because at the time we were just selling in like the Microsoft and Sony boxes. So people weren't even really getting to know who we were. They just probably assumed, customers were assuming they were just buying from Sony and Microsoft, right? And so it came pivotal time. We're like, okay, we got to build a brand. And during this brand building process, it started in 2020. So we were building this brand for like 2 years before we launched in 2022. And what happened during that time, about midway through, while we were investing in, we had kind of a vision to overhaul the whole brand, bring something new to the market. And really a whole value proposition was we were going to come to the market and be the world's most customizable controller. Like that was our claim to fame. And during this process, in the middle of building the website out and our customizer, Amazon decided that they were going to take down about 70% of our listings. And the reference was due to things relating to drugs, which we were like, what? This is a controller, like how does this have anything to do with drugs? And we kind of tried to escalate with Amazon, and we found out that there wasn't really a whole lot they could do. They just said, remove, words in the listing that reference drugs or have a relation to drugs. And we were like, we've scoured this listing multiple times. We've had more people look at it and we can't find anything. So Amazon's really bad at support. And so what ended up happening is they became inactive. Like then we only had a few custom builds on Amazon, and almost overnight in July of 2021, we lost 70% of our revenue. 70%.
Wow, that's crazy.
And during this time, we were investing so heavily in the brand and building this out that it took a large hit. Now we had a lot of profit from the previous years to kind of continue moving forward. We're like, okay, we're going to launch the brand soon. Let's just keep our eyes focused on that. And so then came around 2022 in January, and we had to sit down with the team. We had hired a few new employees, and we're at a point where we had obligations to paying off loans and banks that we needed to make more money in the next 6 weeks, or some serious things were going to have to happen. You know, letting go of team members, maybe downsizing, who knows what would have happened. And so we're at a pivotal time where we were so close to launching this brand that we'd worked so hard on. All the team was a part of it. And at that time we sat down, we're like, we got to make money in 6 weeks. Like we barely even had the website launched. It was like just launched mid-January, and we needed to make money by the end of February. And so we sat down, we had a few people, we brainstormed some ideas, and I presented this idea. I said, look, we're going to make money fast. We know we can make content. My previous experience is in social media marketing and, branding and those sorts of things. So I was like, this TikTok platform, I trained one guy that we brought on in 2021 to start posting TikTok content. And I was like, we seem to see a bit of success there. Let's go all in on the platform. Like, let's just go all in, right? We could grow YouTube, we grow Instagram, but like TikTok seems to be the new opportunity right now. Let's go all in and see what we can do. So we decided to do that. I'm guessing
like you also knew that your demographic was there, right? Like you probably also knew that given that you're selling customized controllers, our audience is probably a little younger, so they must be on TikTok.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. There was a knowledge of knowing that it was a younger generation on the platform too. I think now it's kind of expanded to everyone. But during that time, it was like, we got to do this. And it was more out of a like survival instincts, but also basing it in the knowledge that I had gained over the years. And we went all in. So we were making like 4 to 5 TikToks a day. Like just all I was thinking about was making TikToks. So I had my creative director, who's now the creative director there at GameNetics. And then we also had another guy who was our videographer. So we were basically all just working together, making content, editing content. It was a really fun time. Probably working like 90, 100 hours a week, like just out of like necessity. I like wanted to save the business. And so within those first 6 weeks, we ended up doing around $70,000 in sales, which was crazy from zero with no following. And then the rest is really history. So that's like TikTok saved our business at that time. We really needed it.
That's awesome. And I think something that is unfortunate, you've talked about like the poor support with Amazon. I think you've also seen some pretty unfortunate events lately with Facebook, where you've also realized that Facebook support is of no help at all. This is just a quick rant, but like it sucks that I think so many brands are highly dependent on Facebook to drive revenue to their Shopify store and or marketplaces like Amazon to drive revenue for the business. And if one of them bans them or like doesn't really reply to them, like it's their livelihood, so that's crazy that they can just do that.
It really is.
Anyway,
it's I think we had a previous conversation about this and how it doesn't matter how much money you're spending on Facebook, you just don't get that support that you need. But TikTok does provide a little bit more support than Facebook. I will say that.
I agree. Yeah, I've seen that. I mean, from you, right? Just having a rep, right? And I think TikTok is also much sooner to assign a rep to an agency than Facebook might be. I mean, Facebook, man, we're spending again over $5 million a year, and like there's no talks about potentially getting a rep. Every time I try to get in touch with them, like I get very little responses. I mean, we do have like reps that are slightly higher level than their low level reps, but it's not like somebody who's really internal and can help us out in these cases. So it's good to see that with TikTok. And how, like, I'm going to pivot now more towards the TikTok segment. Was this purely organic, or were you guys also running ads at that time?
Yeah, good question. So when we initially started, it was all organic. We started running paid advertising we started testing like end of April, I think, is when I started running my first TikTok ads. So this is April 2022. And then, within the first few months, we were kind of testing, trying to figure out the platform a bit. And then later in the year, that's when things really started to ramp up. So it was kind of like organic first. Organic was, definitely carrying us, and I think helped us to kind of implement TikTok ads. But there was so much learning to do. like with TikTok specifically, because short form was just becoming a new big thing, right? Like back then, you know, in 2021, 2022. Yes, it was around before then, but it, you know, now today in 2024, like it's insane. Like if you're not doing short form content, like you're irrelevant. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
No, that's true. And would you say the same thing works today? Like, because I feel like TikTok has changed so much in the last 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
The algo, not to discredit anything, but just to say, I do feel like it was quote unquote easier to like blow up. Whereas now I see a lot of brands, they're stuck around the death trap of like 200, 400
Yeah.
views, and like just nothing really seems to happen past that. So would you say you've seen that becoming harder and harder?
Yeah, I have noticed increased competition on the platform. I mean, everyone's on it now. I
Mm-hmm.
think that there's still huge opportunity on the platform for organic. I think that
Yeah.
I've noticed that, you know, working with more brands now is with TikTok, it's all about like captivating people's attention, and it's through either storytelling or honestly, a lot of it has to do with doing something kind of ridiculous. Like what we find is that even now, like we'll do things that are strategically um, kind of exaggerated to kind of,
Hmm.
you know, hook the viewer in. So for example, like viral content that we did back in the, you know, 2022, early 2022, 2021 doesn't work now. So we've had to like
Mm-hmm.
evolve our viral content. And one thing that we're doing now that's working really well is we're actually covering controllers in like stuff. So for example,
Mm.
like we'll start out the first 3 seconds dropping a controller in tomato soup or covering a controller in
Yeah.
peanut butter. Like it's things
Yeah.
like that that get people's attention. And then as the video progresses, we've learned like we can captivate them something ridiculous, but then kind of bring them back down to earth by then like cleaning the controller and then customizing it. So then at the end, they still get to
Mm-hmm.
see what we actually sell. So it's like,
I get
I
you.
think you have to be a lot more creative now and a lot more original. You can definitely play off trends, but it's also just about like, I think more doing things that are more exaggerated and doing things that most people don't see because everyone's doing talking head videos, right? Like everyone can
Yeah.
make a video reviewing a product, but you got to think kind of outside the box. And that's what I notice is working now more so than that, but also complementing that with ads. So, you
Mm-hmm.
know, running a follower campaign right when you start TikTok, you can get followers for, you know, anywhere from 10 cents to 50 cents each. Get to 1,000 followers,
Yeah.
get your link in bio. You can start with TikTok shop at 0 followers. You don't need to have, you know, any followers to have a TikTok shop. So there's things that you can do. And big thing right now is TikTok shop. So if you're making
Mm-hmm.
content and linking a product, you'll automatically get more organic views. So playing to the features of the
Interesting.
platform is a really good strategy now.
Okay. I did not know that. So what you're saying is like every time you link a product to a piece of content, it usually the algorithm favors that.
Yes, it does. Yeah, probably. I
Okay.
mean, this is a generalization, but 10x what you would normally get on an organic video, you'll get 10x views on a shop. So
Interesting.
yeah,
Nice.
yeah,
And like to get into the nitty gritty of the techniques or perhaps tips that you've noticed to get like as much organic reach as possible. I've also been told and heard that whenever you edit a video like in platform, right, where TikTok kind of favors these videos versus when you post from a computer or you post like a pre-edited video, TikTok kind of loves the organic feel of that video because you've used like in platform features. Have you noticed that too? That like videos edited from TikTok or that look as native as possible to the platform perform better?
yeah. We do see that. I think that you can do a lot of things in say CapCut to make things look
Yeah,
really native as well now because I mean TikTok owns CapCut, so
exactly.
a lot of the features in CapCut are great to use. But yes, they do favor more native videos. And so normally what we'll do is we'll either have our clients or, you know, we would actually create drafts on TikTok.
Mm,
So you can like do them in bulk. And then, you know,
yeah,
you can just go in there and post them like, cause you build them all out as drafts.
yeah.
So that's usually the way we go about things just to keep it as native as possible. But also is just kind of just general look and feel of the videos too. So, you know, using the actual TikTok text and things like that. That's an important element of making them feel native.
Hmm.
And then just approaching things from kind of like a creative perspective. You know, you kind of want to create it as if, you're not really a brand, but you're kind of a person within the brand,
Got
because
it.
that's going to connect with customers. And one of the big things that really was our claim to fame in our industry was most of the people in the gaming accessory space, they're so secretive about how they do things. And so
Hmm.
our approach was, let's turn this inside out. Let's start showing people how to actually do modifications to their controllers and make tutorials and show people the inside, right? That was something we saw and we noticed, like, in our evaluation of how we were going to position ourselves. It was a big open door. And so as
Mm.
soon as we started doing that, people started respecting us because we weren't afraid of people learning how we did things. We gained more respect by doing that. And I think that was a big reason that we blew up too, is just that we were transparent. And it's funny because one other massive brand in the gaming space that's been around longer than us, they started copying us. They started literally copying exactly what we were doing. And to this day,
Mm.
they still are copying us. And it's kind of interesting because when you can be kind of like, you can notice when you're leading an industry and you're changing it, you start to notice other big competitors around your space actually doing what you're doing. And now,
Mm.
the gaming accessory controller mods thing is, a lot more people are now open about talking about how it's actually done. Where before the narrative was like, oh, this is proprietary, secret ways that we
Yeah.
do things. There's still competitors out there that aren't showing, but I think that customers, especially just in this day and age with social media now, you garner a lot more like true fans and respect from just having transparency and showing behind the scenes of, for example, orders being shipped out, how you make your
Yeah.
products. Because then people understand like what the process is actually like to build something. And they're like, oh, okay, I can trust this brand because this is how they make it. It's quality,
Yeah. And how early had you started running ads, essentially? Because you mentioned like ads nowadays, like you recommend perhaps people to run ads together for 1,000 followers. But in your case, like how early was that to start running ads to either get followers or sales or whatnot?
So with GameNetics specifically, we started doing
Yeah.
organic content, I believe. It was, I think, June of 2021 officially, but we were posting kind of like very sporadic throughout that rest of
Okay.
the 2021. Then 22 is when we went in all in January. And then we started running ads in around April or May of 2022. That's when we started
Okay.
TikTok ads. We didn't run a follower campaign. The follower campaign that I mentioned earlier is more of kind of a 2024 strategy, things that we're implementing for brands
Okay.
now to like get off the ground and get
Nice.
them going. So yeah, basically since around June of 2022. And prior to that, I had also run some Facebook ads and Instagram ads for other clients. This was like way back. I had another agency, years ago where we did that as well.
Yeah.
More for like local businesses and lead gen. Now we just focus strictly on, physical and info
Nice.
products. Yeah.
Love it. And let's touch a little bit on that. Essentially, how was the transition, right? From being, well, you kind of were an agency owner, then you became a brand owner, and then you kind of went back to being an agency owner. So, how's this transition, I guess, back to being an agency owner, although now in a new space? Have you found that it's easier for you now to relate, I guess, with brand owners because you're kind of one of them, or how's that conversation been?
Yeah. Yeah. It's been interesting. I seem to have flip flopped between the two. And even before GameNetics, I had drop shipping businesses and things like that I've tried and tested. And GameNetics was really the business that I felt most passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think a lot of us can relate, but I know you can, Justin, playing Call of Duty in the
Yeah,
early days. When you're a
exactly.
teenager,
Yeah,
that was a big time in my life. Like that was really important to me. It helped me get through a lot of things that were really difficult as a teenager, and it was just like fun to hang
mm-hmm.
out with friends and stay up till 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning. Playing Call of Duty.
Yeah.
On the weekends.
And
So
Black Ops 2 and then just going
yeah,
zombies all night. And
exactly. Yeah,
that was
100%.
great.
So
Yeah.
what was your question again? It was on.
It was more about like, I guess if there's a certain form of respect or of connection with brand owners now from
Oh,
an agency standpoint since you built a brand.
yeah. I think it's given me a whole different perspective to. It's definitely a leverage point that I have in saying, hey, I know what it's like to be in your shoes. Like I
Mm-hmm.
understand that there are other things at play than just running ads or doing your marketing, And so I think that level of relatability gives me a unique perspective to be able to advise them on things that fall outside of just advertising, that can actually be needle moving for the business. And I think that it's definitely allowed me to, I think, relate with, when I talk with brand owners, they, when I can come in with that perspective, I'm not just an agency. Like I've done that before. I've been like the boots on the ground guy, like running the operation. Now I'm a little more removed and just kind of like oversee and consult, Gamenetics, and we still manage all of their ads and marketing and content strategy. But now we're doing that, implementing that for other brands. So I think it's given me a level of understanding that I wouldn't have otherwise. And it's being a brand owner is truly what I love, So I think in the future for me, like I definitely foresee building other brands.
Yeah. I love it. I'm excited to see that. I mean, we had a couple chats about that, but I guess keep that for another time. That said, I think I want to orient the conversation for the next coming minutes, mostly on the nitty gritty on TikTok. Like, what is your strategy? I know a lot of people watching on the channel, they usually have ran Facebook ads. They probably are at a good spot now with Facebook, and like they want to expand to TikTok. So a brand that probably has proven product market fit, like they're doing great elsewhere, but they just want to expand to TikTok. What is that process looking like? Like, what is your 0 to 1 on TikTok? And don't be afraid to go down in the nitty gritty, talking about like campaign structure and budgets and whatever. Okay. Like, I really want to give a playbook to people listening.
Yeah. So TikTok, it will. One thing about TikTok is the more that you have a product that is a kind of a wow experience, the more that you can demonstrate how it's used, I think the better opportunity it is for brands who have that type of product. For example, having a candle company where primarily decisions are made on smell, right, rather than looks. I mean, looks play a factor if, there's a woman designing and using home decor. But you can go to Walmart and smell candles. It's very easy to do that. And it's more so a product that people will probably lean to do that. But when it comes to TikTok, if you have a product that creates a wow experience and also the unboxing experience is a wow experience, you're more than likely going to be able to captivate people on the platform. So honestly, we notice more like flashy packaging and like unique colors and color combinations work really well on TikTok. Something that's actually eye-catching. And so when it comes to like TikTok, let's just assume they have a product market fit. Like it's we've got previous sales, and you're trying to get onto TikTok as an additional sales channel. Yep. So first and foremost, it's important to have an infrastructure for creating content. So this doesn't need to be done at a mass scale in the beginning, but it's important to be consistent, because what you got to do is you got to figure out what content is going to work best for me on this platform for my brand. And the only way you do that is there's a few things you can implement in terms of structure for content, which we can dive into as well. But you have to be willing to create without expectation. Because I think when people have expectations is when they give up on the platform too soon. Mm-hmm. And when we started on TikTok, we made 4 to 5 a day, 4 to 5 a day. So we're talking about making, maybe there were some days we made like 2 or 3. So maybe just say average of 3, we're making like 100 TikToks a month, So like in order to figure out your place on TikTok, you have to do volume to some degree. And most people think that you have to overthink making content. And really all this needs to be is, think about you're filming like an Instagram story. Think about you just picking up your camera on your phone and just like talking about what you're doing. Like that's the first place to start, right? Like if you're a brand owner and you ship out products, say, hey, pick up your phone and record a video saying, hey, this is order 203. We're packaging up like this, and this for this customer, and then show the actual like packaging of the product, right? Like that's easy content. So content creation is a big piece of this, and this spills to organic, shop, and ads. So then once you kind of can figure out how to create content consistently, You can also run a follower campaign. So what I would set up is like go into your TikTok ads manager, create an ad account, set up a follower campaign, and then put in like anywhere between like 3 to 6 creatives that are specifically designed to attract your ideal customers. So make sure that the actual content, especially in the first 3 seconds, is going to resonate with your ideal customer, because you want to get followers that actually are going to connect with your brand and products. So put 3 to 6 creatives in there as an engagement follower campaign. I think it's a community campaign, community follower campaign.
Okay.
And then run that. I would say just run at like, you can run at $20 a day. You don't need to run a massive budget. Work towards those 1,000 followers so you can put your link in bio to your website. The second thing that you can do is you can set up a campaign. We like to set up either a DCT structure on TikTok or a smart performance structure. So the DCT structure, and I think this is DCT structure is maybe slightly different from maybe how you set things up, Justin, but we set up a campaign as a CBO. We'll create multiple ad groups all set to open. And then within those open campaigns or open ad groups, we'll have like 2 initial open ad groups. We'll have like anywhere between like 3 to 5 creatives that are all different with 2 pieces of text. Because on TikTok, you can just have the text, the headline. So we're basically testing 2 different headlines with 3 to 5 pieces of content in both of the open ad sets. And so that's how we'd start out, just to kind of see like how that would perform. And then in addition, usually smart performance is implemented after we've had some sales through the platform. We find that smart performance works best when you have winning creatives. So for example, let's say you're coming from Meta and you already have successful ads on there. Take your successful ads on Meta, even previous successful ads that you've turned off that are fatigued, put them into a smart performance campaign, run about anywhere between a minimum of 4 up to like 8 creatives in a smart performance of like your best winning creatives if you have proof of concept with other short form content. Don't run ads that have any black bars or anything. Like it needs to be a 9:16 ad, like an actual short form video, and then run that as a smart performance. And you can kind of even run both at the same time and see what actually performs best. That's usually our campaign structures that we run over on TikTok. In addition, because why not, is setting up your TikTok shop. Like there's no excuse to not set up your TikTok shop. You have to do some verification. There's a little bit of technical side to it, but you can implement that day one. So you can be creating organic content with 0 followers with TikTok shop products linked, and also running some ad campaigns for followers, but then also testing like a smart performance and a DCT structure. So that's like, if you were going to go gung-ho on TikTok, like that's what I would do, is kind of like, we call it the TikTok trifecta, is using organic, shop, and ads together.
Love it. Awesome. And then just for, I guess, context to help people kind of port this experience from Facebook, a smart performance campaign is basically the equivalent of like an Advantage Plus, but on TikTok, right? Yeah. Okay. Got it. Awesome. So you've heard it here first. And I know we're a little short on time today, so we're kind of coming up on the amount of time we have. Everybody watching this, if you want a part 2 to this video so that Jordan and I can dive deeper into his e-com experience, his TikTok experience, which I know is not something I talk enough on the channel, drop a comment down below and let us know if you want Jordan to come back, and we'll be happy to have him back on the channel. Jordan, where can everybody find you and start following your journey, perhaps your TikTok advice?
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. It's been a good session. But just at Jordan Kilgour on Instagram and YouTube. Perfect.
Awesome. We'll drop his links down below. Everyone, thank you so much for watching. Check out other videos on the channel for some more useful marketing tips, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.
See you guys.